A partnership ecosystem, if you'll call it that, is made up of all sorts of different partner types. Yes, we have channel partners and affiliates. We have brand partners. We have suppliers. We have aggregators of content. We have technology partners that make our lives easier or provide us with software that can enhance our product and service altogether. So it's really quite a broad set of partner types that we look after, and it's kind of core to the operation.
Hi, Joel. Delighted to have you.
Pleasure.
Can you please share a little bit about Perkbox and what's your partnership strategy?
Perkbox is the leading employee experience platform, and we bring employee benefits, well-being, feedback, and recognition together under one roof to enrich the lives of employees inside and outside of work. We work with about 7,500 leading organizations, employers that provide our platform to their workforce. And we are a team of nearly 300 people across the UK, France, and Australia. Within the business, Perkbox work with over 300 partners, and I'm fortunate enough to be leading the partnership function.
You've been managing partnership in Perkbox and leading partnership in the Perkbox, which is amazing company and arguably a partnership driven. Can you help us understand how you think about partnerships and how you think about partnership strategy, how you originated it and how you're growing it?
It's a big question. Yeah, I've been with Perkbox for just over 3.5 years now, and I've been very fortunate to have been able to help shape the partnerships function within the organization and work with such brilliant people and colleagues around me that have contributed to the success of the partnerships team. Look, the first step is always to understand the core purpose of a partnerships function. What I mean by that is, where do partners fit within the ecosystem of your organization? What are the desired partner types that exist? You know, is it channel partners? Is it strategic partners? Is it brand partners? You know, affiliate partners? That there are many, many different types of partners that exist within a partnership function. And I think you've always got to have a very clear understanding, what is it that you're trying to achieve with a particular partner type. And once you've understood that and where those partners fit within your particular ecosystem, you can then start to unravel a strategy for sourcing those partners, managing those partners, developing those partners, and not just from a selfish perspective, because partnerships, believe it or not, is a two-way thing. You know, it's not always perceived that way. I think there's a perception of partnerships being very kind of sales orientated, or is partnerships just code word for selling? Well, actually, no, certainly not within our world anyway. We mean partnerships when we say partnerships. And so you've got to find like-minded organizations that can contribute to your ultimate goals within the business.
Partnership actually provokes a lot of interest and is at the same time a lot of skepticism. Some people argue that partnership in general is a little bit like secretive organization in some way. And at the same time, others saying, hey, partnership is kind of like a small startup within your company. You have something like 300 partners, right, in Perkbox. How do you feed this into your sales strategy, also client serving strategy? How do you think about it?
You've got to have different tiers of partnership, right? So, and actually, tiering doesn't mean importance. Tiering doesn't necessarily have to mean, are you a more important partner than another partner? Or ultimately, different partners will have a different purpose. So, we have a bunch of partners that we value, we love, we care about them, but they're, very self-managed in the nicest possible way. They just kind of take care of themselves, and they require very little effort, and we require little effort from them in return. So it's a very nice kind of self-efficient partnership. On the flip side, you've got, certain partners that are far more strategic, far more involved. Maybe there are investments, maybe there are resource investments on either side to make that partnership tick. And so naturally, you're going to need to have way more of a hands-on approach to nurturing and growing and developing. So, if you can imagine it sort of like a pyramid of least effort to highest effort, that you've almost got to look at it like that. Otherwise, you've just got this big mess, which you have no structure with. So when we've worked really hard to figure out how we manage partnerships, I have a wonderful partner success lead on the team who has taken a lot of time and effort to really think deeply about how we manage our partners, to put that process in place to ensure that we are getting, not only are we getting the best out of our partners, but they're getting the best out of us. And that's the most important thing.
How do you find the right partners, and how do you engage them? I mean, I'm sure that you are in a constant process of finding new companies, and also when you started, how did you start?
We work with so many different types of partners across a whole spectrum of verticals. And really what we care about is the impact that those partners will have on the end users of our program. And we actually had an offsite as a team last year to really think quite intensely about this criteria. What should a criteria look like for a partner within our organization? And so we got to a point where we now have quite a nice, simple checklist. It's not as simple as I'm making out. It's matrix. It's a big matrix of, does the partnership achieve X, Y, Z? Does it do A, B, C? There are things that we want to answer yes to. And if we can't answer yes to those questions, then you have to question why you're getting into the partnership.
Can you share one or two questions which is on the top of your checklist?
Without revealing all of our secrets. Things like, simple things like, will these brands resonate with our demographic? Right? Is this brand a brand that we've been asked to work with? Have we had requests for this particular brand? Or, is it in a vertical that's popular and successful already? Is the partner able to provide an exclusive benefit to our users? Simple things. The list goes on and on and on, but you start with the simple things, and then you kind of get to a point where you make a judgment call.
How frequently you are actually assessing your partners from the standpoint of your customers? How your partners actually benefits and fit into your overall strategy?
We operate an ongoing review cycle, really, within Perkbox, certainly, and I would recommend that to any partnership function. You shouldn't, in my opinion, sign a partnership, agree a partnership, launch a partnership, and just sit back, because the work is never done. It's not that simple. It's not as transactional as that. You've got to make sure that both sides are getting value from the partnership. And if they're not, then it's not a very good partnership. And you have to question why you want to keep it, that partnership. So
you mentioned tiers in terms of strategic and non-strategic. What are the ways you structure partnership in your mind?
Our partnership ecosystem, if you'll call it that, is made up of all sorts of different partner types. Yes, we have channel partners and affiliates. We have brand partners. We have suppliers. We have aggregators of content. We have technology partners that make our lives easier, or provide us with software that can enhance our product and service altogether. So it's really quite a broad set of partner types that we look after, and it's kind of core to the operation. But of course, within that list of partners, it just never ends, because you can always be adding value to your partner set. And actually, you may find that halfway through a partnership, someone approaches you that's got a similar or improved offering to replace that partnership, and you may want to take a look at that. So the work is never done.
Sometimes partnerships feel like a standalone organization, I think. What do you think is the way, and from your experience, what is the way to achieve some kind of executive buy-in and a close alignment between overall strategy and partnership strategy?
Executive buy-in is an interesting question, because from my perspective anyway, I think, partnerships teams tend to be relatively small within any business. I don't know. I know a lot of different partnership folk that I talk to and we share tips with, and I don't know of any partnership team that's huge. Yeah, it's usually a very concentrated set of like-minded individuals that for some reason ended up working in partnerships. And so with that, I think comes a level of trust that they will understand the needs of the business. They'll understand the ultimate objective of what it is that they're trying to achieve. And they'll have strong leadership in place and, get the job done. I don't believe partnerships needs to be overcomplicated. I've never felt that it has to be overcomplicated. I think the complex partnership types where executive buy-in is absolutely critical is where there is a commercial stake from either party. Then that's a very very different dynamic.
But at the same time, why do you think there's so much interest in partnerships these days? Why is this happening?
Maybe because we're a mysterious bunch of people that seem to have a lot of fun. I don't know. I think if you look at most partnership people across varying industries, they all probably have the same traits. They love working with people, they love networking, they love hustling, they love getting things done, finding their way, making things happen. And that is what encompasses a partnerships team. It's making things happen and getting things done that enhance a business.
Talking about KPIs and measure of success, you mentioned that sometimes commercial partnerships is very different. How do you measure success of partnership, and do you see prevalence of measuring success via some kind of monetary metrics such as revenue or additional, better churn rates, or what's your view on this?
We have a variety of success metrics depending on the partner type. So, if we look at certain partner types, we will care very much about the impact that those partnerships have on our engagement, our product engagement, and our usage. So, looking at whether a perk, for example, is interesting to our audience, we can determine that quite quickly by looking at whether or not people engage. Do they redeem that perk? Do they use those benefits? Do they use those benefits? Do those do those redemptions translate to transactions? There are very clear and simple ways that we can determine the success of a particular consumer-facing partnership. Certain partnerships are a lot more complicated to figure out whether they're successful or not, in terms of, if you've got a technology partner, for example, that's providing a particular solution that maybe is an enhancement to your offering or is intended to streamline your operational process. Maybe the answer is, does it work? Does it break? And is anyone complaining about it? And if you can answer those sensibly, then, everyone's happy.
Quick question about, like a recent events caused by COVID, and everyone is more like remote distributed these days. How do you think this will reflect on partnership function? Do you think it will become more prominent or less prominent? What do you think?
I think it depends on which organization you're talking to. I think everybody, irrespective of where they work and what business they're in, is going to have been affected by recent events. That is not really up for discussion. I think, speaking personally, and I'm, thinking with my Perkbox hat on, there have been certain perks and benefits that we've historically promoted with partners that perhaps have been less relevant during these testing times, and that's been a real shame for us. And our partners know that they have our support always, and will continue to have our support throughout this period. Equally, we've managed to unearth some new partnerships during this time with folks who, have been able to provide services and propositions to our end users that perhaps may not have been so relevant prior to these times. So depending on which lens you look at it, that there have been certain areas where we've tried to do some good, sensible, honest partnerships that can make a difference to people. And there have been other partnerships that have unfortunately had to take a back seat through no fault of our own. And, there are swings and roundabouts, really. And I hope that some point soon, all of our partners will be working very, very well with us again.
Yeah, I've seen your partnership with mental health company, right? I think it's great. And probably you've done many more like that, which is helping employees to stay, connected and also healthy. This could be argument could be made that partnership is a way to scale organization, right? Like without significant cost attached. It's like a remote, in a way, sales team or remote marketing team, which could be more relevant during these times post-COVID. Would you agree or would you disagree?
I'm on the fence with that one. I think if you think about channel partnerships exclusively, which is where I think you're going with this, channel partnerships function can absolutely contribute, the same, if not greater revenue than a traditional, as you put it, traditional sales function. But in order for that to be reality, the channel partnerships proposition requires investment, and it requires deep strategic thought in terms of delivery and execution and management. You cannot just kind of switch on a channel partner scheme and hope that all of a sudden you're going to start matching your sales team's revenue through a network of external businesses. I'm a big believer that no business can be represented as well by an external third party as it can be by its internal people. So in that respect, you have to make sure that if you are building out a channel partnership function, that you've got the correct material and structure with which to educate, train, and effectively manage those outside parties. So yes, you're absolutely right, but it's not a walk in the park.
This is what you're saying. It typically takes a long time to build this partnership organization, create like a list of prospects, nurture them, and stuff like that. How, from your experience, have you seen any practices that help to speed up this process?
You just got to be hungry and and focused. You know, we when the chips are down, you just got to make things happen. And I think that's the true test of a good partnership team. You know, can you make things happen quickly, on time, and, you know, with as little resources as needed.
Talking about partnership team, how do you structure partnership team? Like, what do you think are like key people or maybe roles or basically functions that partnership team should actually be able to do?
Here at Perkbox, we think of partnerships as quite simple breakup. Like, we have partnership development, which is, you know, unearthing new partnerships, and within partnership development, you can spin that off as many times as you need into varying degrees of partnership type. And then we have partnership success. So making sure that the partnerships that we develop succeed through launch and beyond. Because I know for a fact that signing a partnership is the easiest bit.
Right.
That's the fun bit. The flirting and the courting and the doing the deal is, you know, easy enough. But beyond that, once you've executed and launched the partnership, it needs to be continually developed, nurtured, and managed very, very well. Otherwise, it'll fizzle out.
So talking about partnerships, right? Like managing partnerships, and do you have any in your mind list on do's and don'ts? Imagine you would advise like a CEO of another company, and you would say you definitely should do this, definitely don't do that.
There's probably more do's than don'ts. I think on the do's, you got to trust your team. You got to trust the people around you. You got to take every opportunity to network, build that network, and tap into it for advice and for help and support when you need it. You've got to always remain passionate and focused on the things that you're trying to execute on. Don't get beaten up if things don't go to plan. I think partnerships people have a tendency, I certainly do anyway, to always think that, you know, why is this person not wanting to partner with us? This is, you know, an amazing opportunity. Why would they not want to speak to us? But you've got to remember that as a partnerships person, you are one of many, many, many people trying to get airtime with an individual, and so, you know, not to take it too personally when things don't quite happen as quickly as you might like them to. You got to always be willing to pivot as well. You know, change direction when necessary.
But then this imaginary CEO would ask you, how do you think it would take for me to build partnership organization within my company? Like, what would be your, you know, ballpark answer?
It depends who you've got building it. If you've got very experienced, you know, very good people that can come in and just kind of lay out a blueprint, you can scale the partnerships function very, very rapidly. Very, very rapidly.
Such as half a year? A year?
Yeah. 6 months.
Yeah, makes sense. Brilliant. And then there's another group of people who wants to actually become a partnership manager. And they may be doing an MBA or they just studying somewhere. What would be your advice for those folks?
You know, it's interesting. There's no blueprint for a career in partnerships. I don't think anybody ever sets off on their career journey saying, yeah, I really want to be in partnerships. It just kind of finds you. And I think it's because partnership people have partnerships in their DNA, and you just kind of crave it, and you love the hustle, you love the building, you love the constant kind of dialogue with many different people from different walks of life, trying to just get things done and create mutual value. You got to really live and breathe that. And I think that people fall into the role because it's right for them, not because they go chasing a role in partnerships.
Who are the thought leaders in partnerships, or maybe some other people? Who do you follow, and how do you learn like best practice in partnerships? Be it, thought leaders, resources, or something else.
So I was very fortunate to be asked to join a small group of senior partnership professionals about a year ago who decided that they would start to get together every quarter or so, because there isn't a huge representation for partnerships. There are many sales expos and marketing expos, but there's nothing really for partnerships. And so these guys who I've got to know over the last year or so decided that they would join forces and create this middle group of partnership professionals, which seems to be now growing and expanding. And we're each trying to add more people to the roster every time we meet up, and it's been actually quite eye-opening to hear some of the challenges and actually successes that these guys have been having, because there always seems to be a consistent theme. Which I won't go into now, but to answer your question, that for me has been way more valuable than any kind of publication or thought leadership piece on partnerships.
Pure learning is like incredibly insightful. Look, thank you so much for being with us. I really appreciate you sharing your insights. And we look forward to seeing the success of Perkbox. Thank you so much.